Happy Monday night, folks. Welcome to the Paddle and Fin Podcast Network. We got Dock Talk up next. All American Kayak Series. Stop number 2 was at Lake Okoboji. We had some killer stringers that were put up. And folks, trust me, you wanna hang around for this one. Right now, we got first and second place in the green room, and hopefully we'll have a couple more showing up here. So let's go ahead and get this thing fired up. Welcome to another edition of the TPO Dock Talk podcast. We are a little weathered. Got up at 1 o'clock Central Time, got on the road 2 o'clock Central Time. It's now 6 Mountain, and here we are back at the studio, back home in Colorado from Iowa. And we're going live here, man. But we wanted to make sure to get these guys on because this was a killer weekend. The All-American Kayak Series, powered by Lithium Pro batteries, presented by the Lake Okoboji Resort, formerly Arrowwood. Man, it showed out. You know, people, when we talk about Lake Okoboji, it's kind of funny because folks, ask where. They still somehow miss this thing on the Bassmaster Top 100. I think a couple seasons here, it's made it in the top 10 in the nation, and there's a reason for it, man. It's just solid fishing there. Lots of different lakes and stuff you can touch on, this and that. We're going to get to that there. We're going to talk to the guys that actually went out there and just smashed them this weekend here and get their kind of feeling on a couple things with the All-American there. Before we get going too much further, tonight's episode being brought to you by Dubro Fishing Dewey Baits, proprietary soft plastic. I got a story to share in a little bit here, but for now, go check them out at Dubro Fishing, American-made, proprietary soft plastics that they use, the right kind of flexibility, durability. Use Camp 10 for 10% off your order. Throw Camp 10 in there, get a little additional 10% off on that. Go check them out. Some of my faves, that Slick Willie, love that bad boy. Of course, the little Smokies, those things for Ned rigging. But I got to tell you, I really am kind of partial to the rock lobster and the little rock lobster, man. They have just different applications. I love the paddle fins that those things have on there, the action they can give you. So go check them out. Dubro Fishing, Dewey Baits, and you will enjoy getting yourself a little sample pack of those things put together there. All right, so that's that. Let's go ahead and bring in the two hammers here that put on a clinic out there. And while I bring these guys in, I'm going to bring the standings up here so I can make sure I'm quoting this stuff right. First, coming in second place here, making a run at that title there, and it was a heck of a run too from day 1 to day 2. Awesome to see, Mr. Gary Stevens, the Spring Gary. And what's up, Gary?
How's it going, bud?
Good, brother. How about you?
I'm all right.
Nice. Hell of a weekend up there.
Yeah, it was blessed.
For sure. Let's go ahead and bring the guy in, the Obi-Wan Kenobi of smallmouth fishing, the Okoboji master himself, Mr. Jordan Westerman. What's up, champ?
How's it going, Gene? How are you
Good,
doing?
man. I love that picture. You took champ for the Iowa League. You took champ for All-American. You got yourself some good additions to hang on the wall of the sprinter there.
Yeah, I did. I saved the. Jeremy did that a couple years ago, and he made a post that was like, "I am the king," blah blah blah, or something. He made some just absolutely ridiculous post. So I saved everybody that.
Nice. That relationship you and Brandis have is so awesome to watch because it is like brothers, man. It's like older brother, younger brother. Are you older than him, or are you guys like same age?
I think he's like a year older than me.
Oh, wow. So you're like the younger brother, always wearing on him. That's awesome.
Got to point him in the right direction.
That's right. Well, good stuff here. So, yeah, man, I mean, Okoboji, we've been there. The All-American, I know the past 2 years has been there. Did we go there like the first year also?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did a one day there the first year.
That it was a 1 day tournament.
Yep.
That's what I thought. Um, but last year it was roughly around the same time too when we went there last year.
Yeah, I think it's been the same time the last 3 years, or maybe one weekend ahead.
Gotcha. And it's, something I mentioned to you that I didn't realize about the Okoboji chain right in there. But you both, agreed with this, and apparently you guys were aware of this. I was not aware of this leading up to this, but each lake I mean, they're right next to each other. Most of them are connected by waterways, but dude, they have their absolute own personalities, each one of them.
No, most definitely.
And that's Gary. Did you know that coming into this stuff? Because I mean, you don't live too far from there either, right?
Yeah,
So you're what, a couple hours away
about
from
four.
Boji?
About
About
four.
four.
Yeah.
And Jordan, how far are you normally? Well, you travel all over. You're kind of
Yeah,
nomadic,
I grew up like an hour and 20 minutes from there.
right?
My parents have a place at a lake where I'm at now. About it's a half an hour, 40 minutes south of there. So I've spent a lot of time up there, but I haven't started fishing up there until the last few years more.
Gotcha.
But yeah, the lake to lake is like, you've got your super shallow water fishing if you want to go up to or go to Lower Gar. Mini's its own little lake. Those Mini, Upper Gar, they all bring in the they're your early lakes. Like those get that big push of fish. And then east starts a little bit earlier, Spirit a little earlier, and then west is usually your last one. Not counting like the canals and those little cuts, but
Right.
yeah, everything's different. Water clarity is different. Water, temperatures will range 10 to 15 degrees difference throughout the chain at sometimes. So yeah, it's a very fun fishery.
Good stuff. And if I ask anything that is too much juice, just tell me no, and you don't have to spill it. But I'm just going to ask some random questions here about the stuff. But I totally get it. Gary, day one, what was kind of your game plan coming into this thing? What did you think compared to what you found out on day one?
So in practice on Friday, I was just cruising around Spirit Lake looking for beds, and I marked a bunch of beds, and I fished a couple of them to see if I can get them to bite, and they were locked on. So that after that, that was my deal. I wasn't going to stray away from it.
Nice. And that was up at Spirit.
Yeah, I
Nice.
fished in Spirit until about when you saw me, about 12, about noon.
Yep.
The wind started blowing real hard down to the south, and I couldn't get to the beds I had down there. I just squashed it and went down to Mini and did. Well, I ended up getting 2 fish at the end of the day, but
So is that kind of normal for you, Gary, when you get into places like this that you can actually trailer up, run down there? Is that something special to like Okoboji and only a couple places?
um, I mean, you can do it a lot of places, but there it's I knew what rods I was going to bring. I only took a couple, and I just threw those in there. And after I was done and I wanted to leave, I threw it in the truck and took off.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Jordan, what about you? I mean, obviously you had a solid game plan. You kind of knew exactly where you're going with this thing. Did anything change on you on tournament day, or was it pretty much exactly what you were expecting?
Well, going into it, I didn't think the smallmouth deal was going to play as much. I thought they were a little farther behind, but and so I had planned on just doing the largemouth deal. And I've been at this local lake. I've been on a really good frog bite, so I was all in on the frog deal. I think on Monday I spent $200 on frogs. Like I was ready.
Jesus.
And then I went to all the lakes and practiced, and I did really good on a frog. I was catching them on all the lakes, but I didn't. And then I kind of went out main lake on west, and I cruised past a bed, and there was a fish on it, and I flipped at it, and it was an 18. And at that point, I was like, well, if they're on beds at west, they're on beds on Spirit. The stuff I had fished on Spirit when I was there was really dirty, so I couldn't see any beds. So I kind of scrapped that until I saw that fish on West, and then from there I just went and waypointed as many beds as I could find on West. And then I have a group of beds that usually hold some big fish on Spirit that I knew I could kind of start with and rely on. I checked those, and then I was all, yeah, I think I only pre-fished for like a day and a half, and then it got really kind of weird for me where I knew where the fish were, what I needed to do, but I didn't want to be on the water kind of, cruising around or catching those fish. So,
Right. Don't want to
got
sore mouth them for
yeah.
sure.
And then
You could have sore mouth them fish.
more that I don't want people to see me up there.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
that's really what it, because I fished a lot of the community like big flats, but I've got places that have like 4 or 5 beds on them that are just where some bigger fish are, and I don't want people to see that.
Sure.
Like that it gives those spots away and kind of can break down, show some more stuff. So
Yeah.
I tried to avoid that. And then on Thursday I caught a 19.5-inch largemouth off the end of our dock, and I was like, maybe I'll change my plans and go do this. And I ran docks for a little bit on Friday and caught a bunch of good ones, 18, 19s, but it just wasn't as consistent as that smallmouth, So I had
for sure. One of the things that I thought was because what several of us that know you, we know the amount of work you put in, brother, that this isn't something that just happens overnight. When people ask about, how does he find the big fish? It's called countless freaking hours of trial and error and looking and sorting it out. But you told me something here that just blew me away. And so, I mean, because I'm too old, my memory, I can't even remember like what I had for breakfast yesterday. But you went into this with like no waypoints on your graph set up there. You didn't have your SD card, or what was the deal? Why didn't you have your marks?
Yeah, I had a graph that I didn't update and save, and then it fried out last year, so I lost all my waypoints. So on Thursday, after I saw that fish, I just ran memory, and just if I'd see a bed, I'd mark it. And I just ran and marked beds as many as I could. Like I said at Awards, I think by the time the tournament was over, I had 110 beds that I had marked.
Jesus.
That I started on Thursday. So it was like I knew if I started on waypoint number 108 and I started running from there, I was going to see a lot of fish, and I just had to not waste time on small fish, and kind of just target those bigger fish. I'm pretty good on waypoint management as far as if it's a bigger fish, I mark it exactly what it is, exactly what kind of structure it's on, so I can start my days there. I can go just catch big fish and then kind of venture off from there.
Good stuff. Gary, how intricate do you get on your waypoint stuff? As meticulous as that, or maybe different?
I marked all the big fish I found, and I did exactly like he did. I didn't waste my time on anything smaller than what I thought was 18, and I just went and marked all the beds I could find that were big.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, and then, yeah, you and I run across each other, Gary, a little bit later in the day. That was at the time that I had resorted. At that point, I couldn't find bigs down there in mini and lower. So I grabbed that Ned rig and started going to work. When you come by, I had hit a couple already off of that bridge, and I was working even the weeds behind me. I was literally throwing it behind me and just ripping and popping it through the weeds. And about every, I don't know, 8, 9 casts, doink, I'd grab something out of the weeds there, just snapping a little Ned rig. And yeah, it got me a little small bag of rats. But I noticed, where did you take off for day 2? What was your game plan for that? Get back up to Spirit again, since
Yeah,
the weather was going to chill out?
I went straight back to Spirit, and I went to the south end of Spirit is where I went, but
Yeah.
because day 1, Jordan and I put in at the same ramp. He went south, I went north, and then I went back down there, and it was so windy I couldn't see anything, couldn't see any of the beds, so I scrapped it, and then he saw me in mini.
Yeah. And so day 2, that's basically what the game plan was.
Yeah, I went south and went and found the beds that I had marked already down there, and Fish were still there.
Nice. Well, in day two, kind of checked out a little bit. It was a little bit colder, a little bit cooler, but not enough to really put them on their heads. Jordan, I mean, you come in with like 194, 195 after day one. It was like just crazy. So it's like, how do were you missing some bigs that that you couldn't get it connected with? So you went back after them there? Or how do you cull 19.5 inch fish?
Yeah, so I kind of ran into that, like, do I go catch the same fish I caught the day before or not? That was my big, like, I struggled with that the whole night. I asked everybody at the house, I'm like, what should I do here? Because I can do this. I can go catch or I can catch 98.5 inches of the same fish. I know exactly where those 5 fish are, but I didn't want to deal with that headache of just the whole drama of that. So
Sure, sure.
so at that point I was like, I'll just go run some new stuff at West. I'll check some of my areas that I caught 1 fish off of. And I found a new bed right away. I caught a 19 and a half. I found another one right after that and caught a 20. And then I cruised over to another spot and caught a 20. And I was like, well, at that point I had one like 6 to 7 pound largemouth that I wanted in my limit. And I just couldn't get it to go. It was way out in the middle of the lake on its flat, and I couldn't get it to go. So at that point, I ran up to Spirit, and I wanted to just kind of run and check some new water that I hadn't been on in a few years. I think I caught one. I saw Gary there, and then kind of went the other way. I caught 119, lost one big one, but that one that I lost there was the only bite that I didn't end up catching the fish. So wow. I pretty much caught every fish that I looked at and got them all to the boat. I think I broke one off, but I ended up catching it later.
Good stuff. So Jordan, you end up 197 inches, just a few inches shy of that 200 burger. You put up a 200 burger last year. Where was that at? St. Clair?
No, I did 197.
At St. Clair? Okay.
Yeah, like 99, 98, I think.
Gotcha. And Gary, brother, you were dropping just bags of fish at 182.25. You had a hard charge in third place that was a quarter inch behind you, and Josh Swigert. We were hoping to have Josh on tonight, but apparently scheduling's doesn't look like it's gonna work out with him. But dude, 182.25. That was a killer deal that you put up there. That's is for you, Gary. Is Okoboji usually just one of the biggest stringers that you put up, or are there other lakes that can produce like that as well?
To be honest, Okoboji is always done me dirty.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I live and die by the smallmouth and Spirit, and this time it panned out for me.
and that's what I want to point out to everybody here. How many years have we been there, Gary? And it's done the same thing to me.
Like
Spirit
4.
burns me.
Yeah.
Spirit burns me way more times than it does me good.
Yeah.
It has put me on my head 3 or 4 years.
And that's a product of smallmouth, man. They're just the most unreliable, fun bastards to catch, though. But yeah, they're such a nomadic, just pick up and gone. They're one day, gone the next. Or just get finicky and they flip you off with their fin and they move on type thing. So yeah, that's awesome. Super cool to see on that. So in the Iowa chain of lakes up in there, obviously this one's close to you guys. Is there another fishery in that state that can put these kind of numbers up on a consistent basis, or is Okoboji kind of stand out? Either one of you.
I mean, I think that there is now single day limits. Yeah, we have 40 plus lakes that can pump out a 95 to 100 inch limit.
Yeah.
Wow.
But you're not going to get a lot of those limits. But we have
Right.
some just absolute amazing fisheries in Iowa. Gary has, within his, an hour from Gary's house, he's probably got 20 lakes that are, could put out that quality of fish.
So I go all the way down to 26th, caught its 10 fish. and put that up there. The rest of us were down here. I had 5 fish for my one day, my tiny bag of rats that I put up. But 26 of the anglers were able to get that 10 fish in here. And I want to ask you both. I'll ask you separately and ask you both. And I'm asking you, please be as honest. You're not going to hurt any feelings. This is just getting real feedback. You guys showed out with this new 10 fish format. Gary, is this your first time with it, Gary? Or
Yeah,
did you fish Lake of the Ozarks?
I didn't fish those.
Okay. So on first time out, what did you think about it? What are your thoughts about the 10 fish you got from start till the close to lock it out? What's your feeling? And you're not going to hurt anybody's feelings, so just be straight.
To be honest, I'm not really sure. It stressed me out a little more because I didn't have a limit. I didn't have a full 10 fish limit. I think after day one I had 8 is what I think I had, but it it kind of pissed me off. But
Right?
it's different, and like Jordan didn't even have to fish the second day. So like if you could do that, like you're golden. But it stressed me out a lot, to be honest. But I enjoyed it. It's different. It's something new, and
All right, Jordan. let's hear let's hear it now. And before you say it, there is an argument about the competition, piece that there's more high competition level to be said about getting 5 fish one day and 5 big fish the next day. Totally get that. Totally understand that. But did you fish Lake of the Ozarks as well?
I didn't. I had to miss
Okay.
it.
So this
Um,
is your first run with the 10 fish format. What was your thought afterwards? Just being straight.
I like your traditional 5 fish because of how I fish.
Right.
I I like to manage my fish and plan that way. Um, I don't know how to feel about this because I know a lot of people on after noon on day one didn't want to be on that lake anymore. They didn't want to. They wanted to fish, but they didn't want to fish a tournament because of what they had to look at. It's like that, and I almost felt bad about the situation because of how good of a day I had. That like I didn't want to be that guy. It really kind of put me in a weird situation. It made me feel weird about it. At the same time, like, yeah, I didn't have to fish the next day, but I know how right you can get on smallmouth and on big largemouth at Okoboji. And I had my limit before noon. I know somebody could have went out and found some fish and did it. So that's why I went out and tried to get on some big fish on day two. But
Yep.
it's a cool format. I don't know if it's necessarily, I'm gonna fish with you guys because I like Josh and I like you. Like I like what you guys are doing for the Midwest. Is it a format for me? I don't know. I kind of like I like to have a big limit by 10 o'clock in the morning and get off the water and go get lunch and then tell my friends that story. That breaks them. That will break somebody more
So
than me. Like
in a
hopping out
minute
of
you felt bad for what people had to look at, but if it's your friends now on the other hand,
pissing off with JB.
that's right. That's right. Well, that's cool. It's good to hear everybody's feedback on the thing because when Josh, came up with this idea, it was really brand new. And then all of a sudden, lo and behold, we hear that Drew is doing the same type of deal over at the Kayak Adventure Series. And it's like, oh, that's too slick. That's too funny. So, both of us, both the series are throwing it out there, giving it a whirl and seeing where it's at. It poses, definitely something different than what the average, what the other series are doing. But, not for nothing. You look at what Bassmaster just did. They put another 200 anglers on the water. Obviously, it's Gunnersville, so that helps. But don't take anything away from the fact that I think what we're seeing in our sport is what was inevitable in my personal opinion. As they continue to rise and keep rocking, Bassmaster is going to rise to the top of that. There's no doubt. They got the name, the power, And I don't know if Bassmaster realizes just how lucky they are to have Steve Owens, as well. I mean,
Yeah.
the guy is, not only respected in the kayak community, but he's a damn good human being,
Yeah.
and that goes a long way. People can
They,
trust.
yeah, Bassmasters is not where they are at without Steve-O. Like Steve-O is the number one reason why people are supporting that series and it's like
Yeah.
the Bassmasters name is one thing, but the Bassmasters name with Steve-O running it is a completely different beast than what it was 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Even the first
Agreed.
time that he ran it and they didn't really give him full control. Once they gave him full control, um, it's like we all trust him. We'll follow.
Yep. Well, and that's one of the things we talked about in the off season was the All American was not going to try to compete with. Steve was awesome. He and Josh sat down and talked out the schedule to make sure we weren't conflicting with one another. Like this one here, we knew we were going to be way up on this side. They were going to be way down there. So we weren't going to be giving anybody, trouble as far as which way they wanted to go. If they're going to fish Bassmaster, they're going to fish Bassmaster no matter where we're at or when we're at. And we know that and we're cool with that. So we try to basically just let the big show go, and then we're trying to fill in for the Midwest guys that don't want to go and spend that that type of deal. So it's cool. It's cool to see that unfold. It's to hear others kind of echo the whole thing. So the big fish for this thing, I'll be honest with you, I thought for sure we were going to crack 21, but 20.75 smallmouth is a behemoth smallmouth. I mean, that's a monster smallie. I thought for sure we were going to see some of the large, one of those 21, 22-inch largies, one of those greens pop up there. What do you think they were hiding from everybody? Just at that time of the spawn, the big girl's not playing, or Gary, what are your
Yeah,
thoughts on that?
I think the early spring kind of did it. That's like in mini, like the grass was so high and it was super full. We had a pretty early spring, so like last year we were here that time, it wasn't that bad, and you could find all them fish on them beds. But I think that kind of, I won't say hurt it because what we did up there, but it changed things.
For sure. Jordan, what are your thoughts? Jordan, what are your thoughts on that as far as the green ones go?
I just think that we were weird at where we were at in the spawn. It went, this lake that I'm on here went from 55, like was the warmest, to in a week it was like 65, and they had, I lost the fish and then found him back again on beds, and it was way quicker than I thought. Um, this stuff, when we're this far north, it just happens so fast.
Yeah.
I think a lot of them in that canal system that we usually have a bunch of people catch fish out of had came in and spawned and left already, or it came in so quick and got so warm that they that they stayed out and spawned on that main lake.
Right.
Sometimes they'll make that huge push in the back. The other thing, a lot of like Turtle Lake and the canals were really dirty. Usually they're not as dirty, so that could have made a big deal. Usually one of those big fish is caught off a bed, or chatter jigging through some grass. I know Jeremy when he won caught his big on a chatter jig. Joe Bailey caught one on a spinner bait that he was soaking in the middle of the lake. He caught like a 21 and a half. He was eating his sandwich. He picked it up. It was sitting on the bottom and he caught a 21 and a half. It's like some of them fish just happen like that. It's like just random. Maybe it was we didn't have, we've had 50-person derbies up there a few years. Maybe it was just that those extra 20 people weren't in the canals and like, the numbers of people. But I think we were just a little farther along than people wanted to think and where those fish were at.
Well, and there was a drastic difference even in temperature because I got down into lower Gar. I went down and you went into that little marina cut back in there, and I was picking up like 68-degree water back in there, almost 70 degrees in some areas. And I was like, holy Moses. I mean, it was, get up into lower and I was, picking up 65. up there, 63, 65. Got up into through Mini and then up into the upper Gar and found a couple areas in there that was I want to say low 60s, and it's like, okay, what the hell's going on here? It's like southern drift down there. What was, if you don't mind me asking, Spirit is above east, right? Is
Yeah.
that where it's at? Yeah, it's above east, and then west. What were some temperatures out of those? What were you guys seeing over there?
60, I think, is what it was. The
Yeah, it
Spirit.
was mid to low 60s,
Yeah.
62, 60 to 64 ish.
To be honest, I didn't really pay attention. I was
Yep.
just in beds.
Yeah,
I got hung up on it like a moron. I got just locked in on the stupid temperature and wasn't paying attention to everything else around me. For
So
sure.
in the Midwest, it's not as like, um, it's not like so temperature driven because these fish got to do it and they got to do it now.
Yeah.
The water's gonna be 80 degrees in 2 weeks. They want to get their stuff done, and it's like some farther north, the fish will hold off. They'll wait for that cool down in a month. It jumps to 75, 80, and then it jumps back down to 65, 70 in a month. Here, it's warm, until September. So they got to get their stuff done and now. So they do it early, and they do it in these areas. It doesn't necessarily depend on water temp. It's time, day, or the length of days, all that stuff. Especially largemouth, they get it done, and they get it
Right.
done quick.
Get that Barry White music on and get after it. Well, listen, I wanted to give also some special shout outs here. So Josh Wiegert comes in third with 182 inches. Matthew Barnes coming in out of Iowa, coming in fourth place at 180 inches himself. I mean, these are big bags these guys are putting up. Fifth place, our man, Sportsman of the Year, Mr. Andy Moore, put 178.75. Josh Stickley out of Missouri put up 176.75. Stony Floyd coming in for the first time, your teammate, Jordan, he put up 176.75. Hayden Hall, our big bass winner, he put up 175 and a quarter. Pat Lassick out of Nebraska, 173 and a quarter, and then rounding out the top 10 out of Iowa, Mr. Casey Day with 170 inches. I mean, this is we talked about it leading into this. A little bit lower number this time to get in the top 20 than it was last year, but still that upper side, man, you guys were just putting up some stellar numbers throughout there. That is awesome to see. And it looks, I mean, Iowa pretty much for the sweep, right? I mean, you guys were all through there. So I mean, it's hometown. Figure, you got to kind of do that. Like Moyak winning their team championship, it's their lake. It's their thing. But yeah, I love the fact that at Boji that any cast on any given moment can be that just
Yeah.
literally that PB fish, man. That's a special deal to have to be there. My PB still sits in the 6 pound range, and that was out of Minnesota. So I've not had the opportunity to get down to Texas and go crack those monsters, but that I know Boji is packing those 7 and 8 pounders are sitting in there, man. That's where in Gary, for you, Iowa, biggest bass you've hit in a tournament in Iowa.
In Iowa,
Yeah.
I think it, like weight or length. Length, like
Length, yeah.
21 maybe. 20 and a half, 21.
Was it out of Boji or different
No,
lake? Different lake? Oh, and he's back. There he is. Awesome.
no, it was out of a little lake actually.
Gotcha. Jordan, I'm not even going to bother because I know you live in Texas half the year, dude. So
in Iowa, I have caught what I believe is the maximum growth rate in Iowa because you very rarely see them. I've caught 322 and a quarters in a tournament.
Good Lord.
I have never caught a fish over 22 and a quarter in Iowa.
That's the biggest in Iowa I've caught, is 22 and a quarter down a little river.
That's like almost everybody I know that's caught big fish is like 22 and a quarter, 22. Like Tyler has caught a 23. Deebs caught a 22 3/4, but that was it. And we keep in Iowa, we keep track. Like we have we keep a list of all. If you catch one over 22, you get put on the list. And like we have years where we only get one over it, but the one year we had like 10 fish over 22, and there was one over 22 1/4. So it's
So I
very
got
hard to get bigger.
my man Elvis out of Minnesota wants to know. He said he bets it was on the rat. No.
I did catch one on a swim bait though for Elvis. I caught one on a big bait. I caught one on a jig, and I caught one on. I caught one on a big walking bait too, a big gill walking bait. So nice. I did catch some big ones on swim bait just for Elvis.
Well, gentlemen, the next one up for the All-American is going to be Kentucky Lake. Are either one of you going to be able to make that one?
I probably won't.
Gotcha. No.
Yeah, I won't. It'd be a fun one, but it's tough to take me away from the northern smallmouth that time of the year.
Right. You only get so much limited time to get after it, and then after that, that's when we're heading back to the north again. We're heading up to Minocqua come July, and so obviously we're going to see up there. Yes,
I'm going to try to make it.
Jordan, you got to miss that one, or
no? I want to go to the Susky, but I can't miss that one just because it's fun to have all my friends in an area that that I spend, like, that's more my home waters than Okoboji is.
Right.
Like, no questions asked. Like, I spend 10 days up there to my one on Okoboji.
Well, and it's beautiful. Just the scenery, the people, it's very touristy up in there. Lot to choose from, a lot of different types of water you can get after up there. Fish your style, how you want to fish it, type deal for sure. Offers a lot. I know everybody that went there last year raved about it.
Then there's giant largemouth up there too. I mean, you can put together 100+ inches of largemouth pretty good too. I've caught a 20-inch smallmouth and a 20-inch largemouth flipping the same piece of wood with a jig. Like, you can get on some real good stuff.
Good stuff. All right. So now I'm going to put you on the spot. One piece of advice, Gary, that you would give somebody going to Okoboji that wanted to do well. What's the one piece of advice you'd give them?
I don't really have good advice. But
Jordan, I know you can think and now he's back again. See, I think when I ask Gary a question he doesn't want to answer, he just disconnects himself and he comes back.
Is that me disconnected?
Yeah.
My only advice would be fish the beds.
Gotcha.
Fish the beds.
All right, Jordan.
Fish the canals. There is a winning bag in the canals every year. It's like fish the canals or mini. If you want to get your heart broken, go for those smallmouth. But they break my heart more than they do good.
I was trying to tell somebody about the canals up there, to say that if you're not thinking about the canals, at least, then you're honestly, seriously not considering trying to actually win. But the problem is, a lot of people know that, and it starts to get crowded, and me, I literally love, half the time I try to find the water that people don't go to and try to, find water and make it work, and pull things out of areas that maybe isn't supposed to be, because that's going to feel so much sweeter. But it's the Rocky Balboa way of fishing, dude. I get my ass kicked 10 times more than I ever do with the ass kicking. But man, when I get that one, I'm going to be dropping out an Adrian really loud. You could have heard me yelling at Lewis and Clark over a third place. Trust me. Well, listen, fellas, I appreciate you guys coming on and taking time. I know we were just running around there, so you guys coming on the show here and taking time out of your schedule means a lot. We appreciate it. Obviously, the All-American Kayak Series, we absolutely couldn't do any of this stuff without you guys, and appreciate you coming out and just showing out on that lake and showing folks what that place can do, man. and hopefully generating a few more folks that want to get there. I swiped the tourism book out of my hotel room. It wasn't really swiping though, because I asked the front office gal, I'm like, would you mind if I took that tourism book out of my hotel room? And she goes, go ahead, honey, it's all yours. But I had to show the wife because there's so much to freaking do down there.
Yeah.
I mean, that boardwalk by Arnold's Park, super cool. You know, looking down there, sitting right on the lake. I hear there's like free concerts and such that go on in the summertime.
Yeah, yeah. The summertime up there is like it gets buck wild. It's too much for me. It's like next weekend. Once next weekend hits, you don't even want to be on. Like
Nope.
you almost can't fish those lakes. There's so many people, and it's so choppy. Like even the boaters, like they run into where they don't have derbs anymore because it's such a mess up there.
Like
'Cause there's
like
so many
Lake of the Ozarks
Yeah, it's
during
like
that
mini
time.
Lake of the Ozarks.
Yep. Yeah, there's a time frame between Memorial and Labor. Just don't even bother.
Yep.
You know, avoid that type of stuff if that's what you're trying to do, for sure. Well, listen again, guys. Thank you so very much for coming on here. We appreciate. Is there anybody that you guys wanted to throw out special thanks to or anything like that we didn't cover throughout the deal? No.
I just gotta say, thanks to Eco Fishing Shop for supporting me this year, and friends and family for kind of following along.
Hell yeah, man. Eco's Eco's been doing a ton.
Back.
What's that, Gary?
Said my family and thank you guys for coming back up there. Put on a good
course.
event. It was fun.
Very cool. Yeah, you clearly definitely showed the fun aspect of that. Being able to keep fighting back with that 10 fish, even though it stressed the hell out of you, you still made it work, man. That paid off for sure. No, that's it's Eco's been doing a ton, man. They're really digging in. I know they've sponsored a couple anglers out here in Colorado, two really good guys that they picked up out here. And I hear that they're getting ready to they're going to be putting together another big event at the end of the season. That I'm hoping I can actually put on the list this time and get a chance to get out there. Big bass and all kinds of cool prizes and stuff. So that'll be fun to get down there.
Yeah, that event like blew my mind last year. I didn't want to go, and I drove down the day before just because it's like I had heard people say how cool the awards and all that stuff was, and yeah, I got down there and it was like I think they gave away over 20 kayaks, and
Yeah.
it wasn't a 3 hours ordeal to give away. Like they're like, here's your kayak, next person. We're giving away an Old Town Sportsman. Here we go. We're giving away a Hobie Outback. Here you go. And it was we were in and out in an hour and a half. 8 did the awards. Like it was just, it was such a cool event, and the amount of time and effort they put into that, you could tell right when you walked in.
Yeah, Travis and I talked about it a while back, and it's something he started already planning for, and he has one event that he plans for. He puts it together all year long. He wrangles, the support behind it, and they piece together, and so that way they can put on one hell of an event. So yeah, I'm looking forward when they drop a date on that of when it's going to be. That's going to be a ton of fun to check out. All right, fellas. Well, again, I appreciate it. And just hang out for me here after we roll out of this bad boy, and we'll wrap up there. Folks at home, make sure you smash that subscribe button. The YouTube channel is the #1 channel for us that we're definitely looking to continue to promote and keep moving. That is the best way you can help us on our mission with the TPO side of things, and of course on the Doc Talk podcast. If there's any topics you want to see us cover, anything, I gotta say this, man. I'm gonna toot my own horn real quick. We've been doing a couple of these opinion videos that we've been thrown out, and we're getting a lot of traction with those. We tend with our opinion, we get people that agree with us, and we piss off a few people. So that's pretty cool. And apparently when you piss off and make people happy, you get a lot of views that way. I mean, I'm not going to go the Randy Blockett route. Trust me, I'm not going that way.
I think I think Zaldanes are worse than Randy Blockett now.
The Village.
The Zaldanes are. They're
Yeah.
getting more clickbaity than Blockett any day of the week.
Yeah.
It's the name of the game, it seems like, and I refuse to do it. I wait till a hot topic comes around, and then I grab the hot topic, and then I'll throw my opinion at it, Sometimes it's popular, sometimes it's not. But the last 2 times we've done it, both those videos have skyrocketed, got into the thousands of views. And, one is still climbing at 36,000 views. And so it's like, cool. I'm waiting for people to screw up in the industry, man. That's all I'm waiting for so I can chime in on it. So, all right, folks at home, we appreciate you. We love you. We can't do this stuff without you. Tight lines and be safe.